All right, guys, happy Wednesday, June 28th, coming to you excited, full of energy, and as always, you guys, full of tremendous levels of gratitude. So thank you for being here. Thank you for spending some of your time with us today. Keep it moving, coaching, and let's just get right into the session for today. So they don't know this, but I have a couple lenders on the line today, and I was thinking about this. I was thinking we should just do some form of like a showdown. What I mean is that I want to hear from different lenders. And here's what I love about this. And Art and I were talking about this. Art's actually going to be in our office in Sacramento tomorrow, and we're going to have a session on this in person. But while we're here today in the true spirit of Wednesday market updates, what we're going to do is we're going to have, if they'd raise their hand and share kind of their vantage point of what's actually happening in the market. I'm going to share an article with you. I'm going to share something that you guys can use today to really frame your conversations with consumers. I always believe that we need to keep it fresh. We need to make sure that we have depth in our dialogue and how we're actually conveying new information about the reality of what's actually happening in the marketplace. And so I'm excited. I asked a few lenders to be here with no intent at all for them to just simply be here. And if they want to raise their hand and share, then here's what's cool about this. I think about this and I verbalize it for my very first time when I was talking to Art the other day. Let's talk about synonyms. And what I mean is that you guys are always hearing this information about the market. Well, how do you say the same thing, but in a different manner? That's a synonym, right? And so what I want you guys to do is not trying to sound like these economists. Don't try to sound like a lender. How do you take that information and convey it in a way that makes sense and is in the way that you speak? So I'm excited about today. Quite frankly, I'm always excited. I live in an excited state. So let's just get right into the session for the day. I'm going to look around the room. I'm going to have somebody bring us out on the field on this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday morning. Enrico, bro, that's going to be you, man. Really quick, rapid fire, bring the team out on the field. Tell me one business win, one personal win from this last week. Let's go, Rico.
What's up, squads? Hope all is well, everybody. One business win has just been getting my vision realigned, understanding the 3 pillars of my business, and just moving forward from there. Not treating yourself like a punching bag, just getting back on the horse and continuing to move, and using your team and your allies as family and a resource that can keep you moving forward. And then another win from last week is I just messaged a few friends on Facebook, and then one of my friends in Chico is actually looking to buy a house. So we're going to be looking at some houses next week. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, just a message for the team. Let's keep an attitude of gratitude moving forward. And I'm really excited for the session, just so we can find different ways to communicate in a clear and concise way with our consumers.
Beautiful. I love this. I love this. Before we get rolling in the conversation today, I have a couple things I want to talk to you about, obviously, about the market. I got an article for you guys, but I want you to do this exercise. And if you're not driving and if you're not with the kids right now, you have the ability to write this. We do this all the time, and I love doing this in person. And so I'm actually just going to give you some real stuff that came from team members, from agents yesterday for our business planning mid-year review. I want you to write down on a piece of paper these 3 words. Or these 3 categories, excuse me. Start doing, stop doing, and continue doing. And what I love about this exercise is that you get all these answers and I get to look at them all. And so I want to share just a handful of what some of the people said yesterday in our business planning and see if this resonates or hits with you. So somebody said, stop excuses. Stop being afraid of door knocking and avoid being on video. Stop letting others affect my energy. Ooh, stop overthinking about every action. Okay, that's a good one. Stop worrying about it. Stop procrastinating. Stop with my inconsistency. And let's see here. Stop running away from my business. Stop caring what other people think and create a positive mindset. So those are the things that people said they're going to stop doing. Now I'm going to share with you some of the things that they're going to start doing and they're going to start putting in their business. I thought this was really cool. So let me share with you a few of these. Prospecting 2 hours daily. Presenting at the event I sponsor. Ooh, I love this. Let's see here. Interview people in the community. Ooh, I love this. start setting up weekly goals and being disciplined. Start calls, door knocking, Instagram posts, real stories, SOI, work that SOI, having framed conversations on schedule, using my calendar, start setting calendar, committing to calendar, using tools, and start acting with a sense of urgency, right? The reason I like this exercise is that you guys are all going to have the things that you need to start doing, stop doing, and continue doing. So I want to implore you, I want to encourage you, I want to push you to start making your list today. And then feel free to share that with me. Send me a text message, send me a picture of what you wrote. But I think that this is a powerful, powerful exercise. I've done this live at a Tom Ferry event, and I just like doing it in smaller groups because the list of continued is great because these are all the positive things that they're doing. If I was to take one or two out, continue hosting open houses, continue creating my calendar, continue my previews, continue my diet and exercise, and continue my newsletter farming and touring of homes. Really, really great stuff. So let's get right into this today. I have a couple lenders on here, like I said, but I want to share this article with you because I think that this article is super, super powerful. And I want to share this with you. All right, guys, I'm going to post this in the chat right down below. That way you guys have it. That way you guys can frame your conversations for the day. I always want you guys to make sure, oh, this went to, let me put it, everybody, boom, bam. All right, it's in the chat down below. So what I want you guys to do is take a look at this. This is from Realtor.com. This is the National Housing and Economic Forecast for 2023. Despite easing home prices, costs remain high. This is going to give you a breakdown. What's cool about this is this is a revision, right? They published it early in the year, and then obviously based on where we're at, what's happening in the marketplace, we're still seeing high demand, low sales, and we're still seeing prices going up, especially here in the Bay Area. So what this will do is this will kind of really break things down for you so you can get an understanding of where we're at, what's driving demand, why sellers aren't moving, and maybe help you formulate a better dialogue so you can truly, truly check the depth of your dialogue. So a couple things in here that I wanted to share with you that I thought was really, really good. It is here, right? We know this. We know that sellers are more reluctant to buy right now based on the fact that they probably have a really good interest rate. And so we have to think about different ways to be able to entice them to even consider selling. Yesterday, we had an agent say that her whole mission right now is to go after people that can take advantage of Proposition 19. And this way that even if they're paying a higher interest rate, they're going to be able to stay in a lower tax bracket. And so this might be able to help them think about selling and not just think about the interest rate. What I found cool about this article is that you guys can take 1, 2, 3, 5 hooks from here and say, okay, I'm just going to take this section here and I'm going to create a video on it. I'm going to create something in my newsletter. I'm going to send an email out today. I'm going to say, hey, did you hear this and how it affects you as a seller or as a buyer? So what I want you guys to do is I want you to go back through this. We're going to have a conversation about the market, but I want you to go through this today, this morning, and I want you to frame your conversation with either sellers or buyers or renters today. Take 1 to 2 things out of this, frame your conversations. Also, create a video from this. Like, hey guys, I just saw an article and I want to share my thoughts and opinion with you on this. Let's go. There is so much great information in this article. You guys have it. And I want you guys to make sure that you're putting this into framework today that you can have really solid conversations with your buyers and sellers. So let's do this. We're going to go right into some market conversations, and I'm going to go over to Art. Art, I appreciate you being here. Art called me the other day. He's like, I'm a horrible salesperson. I just want to be in your world and see how I can help your agents out. And I appreciate the honesty, and I appreciate you stepping up and wanting to, provide something of value to the team. So Art, from your vantage point, bro, if we're going to talk in layman's terms, right? When I talked about synonyms the other day, if we're going to talk in layman's terms, like, what's actually happening? What are you seeing? And what is the communication that we should be having with consumers today about the reality of what's actually happening in the marketplace? So Art, I would love to hear from you. And Cristina, if you were on, I would love to hear from you directly after. But Art, let's have you pop this conversation off, big dog.
I appreciate that. Check. You guys got me? Am I good on
Got
this?
you loud and clear, brother.
All right, perfect. So I did pull up my quick market analysis that is by the people that you were talking about, people that speak at like ultra high level. And then I have to break it down real quick. It comes out daily and you can get a copy of it too. It's linked in my Instagram bio. If you want it, it'll be in your inbox. But going back to what Nias was talking about and just digesting it and breaking it down to smaller pieces is where people and the consumer are going to understand it. From today's post on it, it did say a couple of good things for the third straight week that mortgage applications are rising. So that's kind of a good sign. And when people hear that, there's like a mental like theory of if everybody else is standing in line, like, why am I not standing in line? Shouldn't I be standing in line? Like, what am I doing wrong? So I do think that that could be just, I don't want to say a hook, but kind of a reality tip where it's like, hey, everybody else is doing it. Like, why aren't you doing it? From the applications that are coming across my desk on both the purchase and refinance level, there's a lot of consumer debt out there. Like it is insane. And not everybody can just, nobody wants to jump out of their 2%. So if you are talking to maybe a seller, like I said, no one wants to jump out of their 2%. They might have a ton of consumer debt. And, you know, I do home equity lines of credit, but not everybody qualifies for a home equity line of credit. So what options does that person have? That person might need to sell their home and move on and downsize. I mean, get their lump sum from the proceeds of the sale, wipe out their debt, and then roll over the next to another property at maybe a smaller payment. You know, time to stop living in that 3,000 square foot house that you can't afford anymore. So I think that from a lending standpoint, I really like knowing what people's options are. Like that is kind of a thing. Like, what are your options? You can keep living and paying thousands of dollars in debt or monthly on, you know, these credit cards that are 30%, or you can sell the house, get out of all that, fresh restart, you know, maybe not live in that big house anymore, and let's get you into something better. So that's one thing that I'm seeing.
So let me pause you for a second, because we've been talking a lot about this, that sellers need to understand that maybe it's diversification is the best route for them, but also being able to determine, like, based on their scenario of debt, that might be the motivating reason for them to need to sell, to clear out all of that, and then to purchase a smaller home, and then maybe a new city, maybe a new state. And I think that we're not thinking as universal as we need to think, especially in this changing market, right? That might be a factor. Or have you seen people taking an equity line of credit out to purchase income properties?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Financing on investment properties right now is non-existent. I literally mean that. Like, the amount of points that we have to charge on an investment property, even if someone's putting 25% down, it like is right up on the high cost threshold, right? So we can't even do that loan because it costs too much. And this isn't a me thing. I'm hoping Cristina will get my back on this, but it is literally an industry-wide thing where investors, where we get our money from, that, you know, the money to keep lending is so expensive that even at 25% down, it's hard to do that loan. I mean, we could do it, but that rate is going to be crazy, and there's going to be probably like 4 points on the deal. So, but that's the reality of it. So it's getting tougher and tougher to lend on investment properties. That is a fact. But on the flip side there, if people can borrow from their primary residence and pull out a HELOC, like, we could do that loan all day long. No high cost issues there. Use that cash, go buy an investment property. So that is the play. I'm telling you guys, I'm pricing out investment properties all the time, and it is a darn near dead deal. But a HELOC is the way to go.
Let me ask you a question in regards to a HELOC. Let's just go 6 months back. Like, what has been the influx of amount of people applying for a HELOC loan?
It's debt, man. It's consumer debt is at an all-time high. So they want to consolidate that. They don't want to get rid of their 2%. People are going to go where they're, you know, what's that statement? But you're only as faithful as your options. Like, what are my options here, you know? And that's why people are defaulting to that HELOC option to just get rid of that consumer debt. But not everybody qualifies. You know, I have about 4 applications in here where I need to put them together and make sure that they fit that box. And if they don't fit that box, what's the option? Put it on the market, maybe roll the rest of that equity over to a new property. That is my thought.
All right, cool. So let me ask you a quick question, because you do really good with your hooks on social media, and so does Cristina. And so I'm glad that both of you are here, because, you know, obviously we're a very social team. So if you were to create a hook for a seller in regards to a HELOC, what would you frame that? How would you frame that hook if you were to create something right now for people to ask more questions about a HELOC?
Man, where my ghostwriters at, man?
Yeah,
So, all right. So HELOC, shoot, man, can I get a couple minutes and just
no, come back to that, and then and
all
ask
right.
AI or do whatever you got to do, right? And then we'll come back to you. But
right.
I'm in need of a HELOC. Okay, cool. So I see this. And then Dominique says, I have a couple that just set up a Zoom call with me about appraisal value because they are doing a HELOC. So Art, back to the original question.
Yeah.
Have you seen the percentage of applications for HELOCs go up over the course of the last 6 months since interest rates have been a lot higher?
I'm doing 1 to 2 a day. My team is all doing 1 to 2 a day. They're not massive. I mean, there might be 100,000, they might be 400,000. But going back to that appraisal, by the way, so we run an AVM on those types of scenarios. That's an automated appraisal. A computer just spits out a value. And I'm noticing, because I'm friends with everybody in the industry. I know where their HELOCs are at. A lot of credit unions will stop at 80% loan to value ratio, and we'll go up to 95 with someone that has good credit score. So that gives us another 15% in what we can lend to people. So I'd want to see that application and see if, you know, maybe that lender was capped at 80% when there's someone like me that can go up to 95. And not only that, them getting an appraisal to me is a red flag. I want to know why they went that route. Typically, we start at that AVM, and then if there's a huge disparity in value between what they think on that AVM or what that AVM comes back and what the, you know, buyer thinks, then we're going to get the appraisal. So that one might be in troubled waters more than you think. So just tidbit there.
Okay, awesome. I love this. I love this. Before we go on to Cristina, and once again, you guys, I didn't prep them. I just kind of threw them in. I tagged them, and, you know, hey, invited them, and I'm so glad that you guys are here and willing to contribute and share. So any questions before we go on to Cristina? Any questions, any thought, any dialogue that you guys want to ask Art? And don't be shy, you guys. Let's use this opportunity to leverage the experts that we have in this room right now, and making sure that we are really, really checking and how to frame our conversations with consumers. Because by show of hands, how many people want to go after more sellers? Everyone's hand is going to go up on that. Well, do we really know how to have an extended conversations about, you know, about leverage and about helping them leverage the mass amounts of equity? And if you're just constantly asking for the listing, it might not happen. So that's why I love this leverage conversation. Before I move on to Cristina, anybody have any questions for Art? Going once, going twice, and please don't be shy. All right, cool. We'll probably have more questions towards the end. So Cristina, from your vantage point, and what I love about this is you're going to probably hear something completely different. And that's that beautiful thing about synonyms. And so Cristina, from your vantage point, what's happening? What are you seeing? And let's continue the flow.
Hey guys, good morning. I would definitely say clients right now are really, really focused on rate. And if you're one of my realtors that work with me, one thing I really try to not talk so much about the rate. Everybody knows rates are not good right now. It sucks. They're high. It's been a roller coaster. 75% chance in July, rates going up a quarter. We all know that. And so one thing I think to really focus on with talking to clients is payment comfortability. You guys, I say it all the time. I say it on my reels and in my buyer consultations. Fall in love with the payment before you fall in love with the house. And by doing so, let's talk about what are you comfortable with? What are you comfortable with monthly, total out of pocket? How much are you going to have left for a rainy day after closing? Let's focus more on that than the rate. Because a lot of lenders are going to be pretty close. You know, maybe I may quote 7% and then Art's maybe going to quote 6.875, but maybe our terms are different. Or maybe, you know, the energy that I have with the client is different that client's going to have with another lender. So really, let's focus more on that payment and how we work as a team to get your client into contract. Because I know right now, so many clients are getting outbid. You know, there's one property with 25 offers at that price point. So everyone in that price point, those one person got their offer accepted, 24 people are all going to go to the next one. So I think really focusing more on the positive part of, are you comfortable with this payment? Okay, great. Let's go home shopping. Let's not think about the rate so much. I understand it is a very important part of buying a home, but the rate's going to be what it is. And if we focus so much on the rate, we're focusing on something that's so negative. You know, it's everybody knows rates are high. So let's kind of transition the energy into what should we be focusing more on, which is that payment. Because definitely, you know, where we were in a market before, maybe a client could be approved for a home for 600,000, but they may only like the payment at about 400,000, 450. So I think really just trying to focus more on that, gearing things around, is really going to put your client in a position where they're like, okay, like this person has my best intentions. Like, we're working as a team. I was a little discouraged because I see on the news rates are going up and it's so frustrating, but they're actually making me feel comfortable and confident to home shop because now I know what my payment's going to be. I like it. That's what they're, you know, they have their best intentions. Because I think sometimes when clients look at us, they look at us as being in sales. They look at us as they're just trying to get the deal done. And really trying to move that around is no, like, I have your best interest at heart. We all, as a lender, as a realtor, we're all in this together to make your dream of homeownership a reality. And we're going to put all these good things together so that you're confident. So when you're home shopping, we'll make that happen. So I think really moving the focus to that has really helped clients get off the fence. Because too, I think we have a lot of clients that follow up. Hey, just checking in. I always do the famous just checking in, see how you're doing. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any, you know, you want me to run any more scenarios for you. And some clients have just been a little hesitant because they're just on the fence. So I think re-gearing and retouching base with those clients, maybe changing the conversation of, hey, like, were you a little intimidated by that breakdown? No problem. Let me get you some more scenarios so that you can see at other price points and maybe other cities that may fit your payment comfortability. So for me, that's what really, I think, focusing on that and changing the energy with buyers will kind of uplift them a little bit and get them off the fence.
Let me ask you a question. This is for you and Art. So obviously we know if a consumer shopping and maybe they have lofty goals and they're just getting outbid in that community, maybe we have to go to a different town, a different city that might fit a lower price point. How much of the loans that you're seeing are the consumers going back in and seeing how much more they qualify for and have even more buying power? Because we know buyers sometimes they say, oh, well, I'm pre-approved for 850, but I only want to go for the 700. Are you seeing people really upping their buying power from what you guys have seen in the last couple of months?
You know, it's funny. It's more of, it's kind of two scenarios. One is they don't want to go as high as they're pre-approved for. They're just like, you have that, like, you know, when I send the pre-approval, we set up a call and they're just like, oh gosh. So I usually will always put a couple, like, here's your max, so they know their max. And then I'll say, hey, here's some other scenarios more closer to your payment comfortability, but, you know, so that you know your options. But then you'll get the others who maybe that they actually want to boost their approval. So then we kind of switch things going to FHA, because now, you know, FHA, we can go higher in ratios, but not as much. I would say definitely if they're trying to boost their approval, it's usually because, you know, of other different situations. But I would say usually people are trying to, once they see how high and what that payment is, they end up not really going that route.
Okay.
I agree with Cristina on that 100%. And just from an inventory standpoint, I know where you guys are at. For example, you know, Dewey had one yesterday. He was like, hey, you know, they want 680. Well, inventory out there in the Bay might be short at 680, and only having so many funds, staying within that borrower's, you know, comfortable range on what they want to bring in. Man, what I had to do was show them the numbers at 680, but also I showed them numbers at 725 using down payment assistance as well to keep that amount of cash from them low. Payment $100 more, but now that gives, you know, Dewey the ability to go from 680 up to I think it might have even been 750, but that they were bringing in less on that 750 number than they were at the 680 with no DPA. So me personally, I like to just kind of like what Cristina was showing or saying, give them a range of payments. And the payment will usually be the driver of, hey, this scenario, but also what do I got to bring in? So I like to combine programs like DPA alongside a regular loan to just give you guys more wiggle room and inventory. And they'll decide on the payment, but just I want to give them as many options with the shortage of inventory.
So I have a couple questions for you guys. Based on this mid-year housing report, and obviously you guys probably have even more or better, information. When we look here at mortgage rates, and this was obviously revised and this article just came out, is it safe to say at the end of the year we're going to trend downward? I mean, this report says that throughout the year, and by the end of the year, we're going to be hovering around 6.1. Is there validity in that, or do you think that could be potentially lower? Or do you think it's going to stay, where we're at 6.5 and 6.5 and above? What do you guys think about that?
2 more rate hikes this year. I mean, no. I think it's 2 more rate hikes on the horizon, and just liquidity being low, money in the system being a low. I'm a little concerned there. I think it might be a little bit longer, 6.1. I mean, could be a little like Cristina was saying, if they're comfortable with the payment, let's go that route. Change the frame of mind to payment instead of being stuck on that rate. I still like the 2-1 buy down. I know you hate it and it's overplayed, but I still like
No. I don't hate the 2-1 buy down. I love the 2-1 buy down. Mm-hmm. I just got sick of seeing the videos about 2-1 buy downs.
Yeah. I hear you.
So let's not get it twisted. If I'm thinking from a consumer standpoint, I love it for them. I was just sick of the fucking video.
Hey, one more thing on that,
just being real.
It doesn't have to be a 2-1. It could be a 1-1, So I don't know if everybody knows that. It could be a 1-1, 1% lower the first year, 1% lower the second year. Could be a 1-0, just 1 year. But going back to those rates at 6.1, doing that can get them down a year, where maybe a year from now, there's a better chance of it being lower than 6.1. So even just try to leverage.
I have a question, and Cristina just took herself off of me. And you guys, don't let me be the one that's asking all the questions. I just want to get very introspective on this conversation. So say you have a seller, and the seller is 57 years old, and in the Bay Area, they could take advantage of Proposition 19. All right. So here's some context for you guys. Well, their concern is, I don't want to give up this interest rate. Well, with what they'll save on taxes and the ability to buy down that rate, can we still get them in a scenario where it's super comfortable and they're not paying a 6.5? What I mean by that, like, how much money are they actually going to save by being able to be in that lower tax bracket because they bought their house 15 years ago or whenever that was, plus buying that interest rate? Are you guys seeing numbers like that? Are you guys producing numbers like that for agents so they can present to sellers? I'm just curious.
No, that hasn't really come up with me, to be honest.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Cool. I'm just thinking outside the box here. Dominique, you had your hand up. Let's go to Dominique. And you guys feel free to get involved in this conversation. You guys always have great questions, so get involved. So Dominique, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I'm going back to the HELOC. I was on my clients that called, so I couldn't take myself off of mute. But as far as the HELOC loans, some lenders don't really rely on the AVMs. So the HELOC doesn't, when they get an appraisal, doesn't necessarily mean it would be a bad thing. Just kind of depends on the lender. I know the bigger lenders like Rocket Mortgage, they will send an appraiser out for HELOC. And I've had Chase do that quite a few times as well.
I'm trying to avoid that thing like the plague, straight up. That is a plan B. Plan C.
It's crazy because AVMs are looked at as bad in the appraisal world, because we feel like they're not as accurate and they can't be as accurate as the person actually doing the analysis, rather than running a whole generalized AVM on it. So there's kind of a weird thing to it, but.
And then for the people that don't know on the call, I just want to make sure that people are going to watch this in the future. AVM. What does that stand for? That's
an automated value appraisal. So what it is instead of sending an appraiser out, it's a system that runs the value of the home.
And a lot of times that comes in lower, to be honest with you. over the past 10 years, every single time I'll comp it out and say it will come in at 400. It might come in at 380, but just sending an appraiser out opens up to more, even if it's just a drive-by. A lot of these times it's not a full appraisal. If we do one, it's just a drive-by. They're driving by it. But if they're driving by and seeing peel and paint and a beat up roof, okay, now my deal is 100% dead. So I'm avoiding that thing like the plague. I mean, that's
crazy. I like that we're having this conversation. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. This is not appraisal thing. However, all the HELOCs I've done have been full interiors. I've never done an exterior drive-by for them. And the thing with the AVMs, how you say they come in lower, they are saying that a lot of the AVMs, if you just do more research on it, and AVMs are coming out as like biased. So there's also a lot of things that plays into that as well. So AVMs are like this big old thing that the appraisal world is just kind of like digging in at, and they don't really like it. So just kind of give you a background, I'm an appraiser as well as a real estate agent. So I'm not sure.
Like, damn, she knows a lot about appraisals. Cristina, go to you. You took yourself off of mute. And then as soon as Christina's done, Rico, go ahead and ask your question. And go ahead, Cristina.
Oh, yeah. I think the only thing was talking about rates. Are they going to go down towards the end of the year? I think we may creep that way. To what they'll go, I don't know. I don't know, to be honest, but I think that's kind of what been the projections are towards the end of the year. Rates start to go down and then hopefully continue through next year. But, you know, we can't really predict it, but definitely, I mean, that's the only thing I was going to add. That's, you know, in regards to rates and things getting a little better, possibly towards the end of the year. Are they going to go into 6%? I don't know. We'll definitely have to see what the next two rate hikes have in store for us.
Awesome. Rico, what's your question, big dog?
Sure. Yeah, so my question is, say that I'm talking to some longtime renters and they are interested in being a first-time home buyer, but now with kind of, you know, all the news and all the things going on, how do I speak with my client about, say they do let me know, like, oh, I just want to continue renting because everything just feels very frantic right now, and I'm just feeling a little bit overwhelmed with the whole process, and I'd rather wait till, you know, rates do go down, or, you know, things get more cushy. Like, how would I communicate that?
Really, we get that a lot. I would say personally, whenever I have a client that kind of either they're hesitant to start, or they start and then they may feel a little discouraged and they say, oh, I'm gonna wait for rates to go down. And I remind them, one thing to remember was when rates go down, everybody's coming back into the market. And when everybody comes back in the market, when rates are low, home values go up. So really, it's changing their mentality of, remember, your property taxes are going to be based off of your sales price. So even if you boost, you know, at that time, values are going to go up. Everybody's going to come back into the market. You know, you're going to have even more competition. And so I tell them, let's just look at the numbers. You know, getting pre-approved, it costs nothing to get pre-approved. Let's just look at the numbers. Let's see, because maybe too, you're not ready to buy now, and maybe you have to work on your credit, or maybe save up a little bit more money, but at least we can give you a 6-month action plan. Or even, you know, I have clients that contacting me that we started a year ago, and now they're ready because they saved more money. They got the payment scenarios. They didn't really like it. They're like, you know what, I actually want to get some more money saved, or I want to keep working on doing more overtime. So I think talking to them, and because once you get them engaged and you can get them committed to start talking with the lender, get a pre-approval, you're getting them more prepared, and then they're going to trust you, and they're going to come back to you and be like, okay, like you helped me get to this point, whether it was 6 months ago or 12 months ago, now I'm ready. So I think it's reminding them, just because you're talking to a lender doesn't mean you have to buy a house in 30 days. It could be a process.
I love that. And I love the messaging here, Rico, is that we need to be the great emancipator of the dream. And I heard this many, many years ago. What I mean by that is that we're that person that, hey, whether it's 6 months down the road, a year down the road, whether it's 2 years down the road, I'm here to advocate for you and make sure that I'm educating you on all the things that you need to know. So when you are ready, what I would personally do is obviously do the rent versus buy, that they have no equity now, but they also have no security now, especially if they have kids that are going to school, if they're planning on having a family and they want to live in that community. what's to say that that seller's not just going to go and sell their home in the next year, next couple months? There's always that thought, and it's lingering. And if they're continuing to throw that money away, and they said that they don't have money for a down payment, they do. They're just throwing away $30,000 every single year on their rent. And so it's for us to be able to show them what is possible through home ownership and educate them and show them all the options. And personally, I would just get them out there and see some homes. Like, hey, you guys, even though you guys aren't ready now, let's at least go see some houses. So when you are ready, we kind of have a sense of what you actually like in a home. And you guys can get a true sense of what you truly want and need and desire in a home, because that something will change. If they're in the home, they're like, wow, or you take them to a new build, they're like, wait, we could build this from the, and we could pick all of our fixtures, and this can be ours, and we can just pick our lot, and then we'll watch it. Things change in the consumer's mind, man. Consumers changed, instantly. How many people have ever had a consumer say that they want to wait and then they buy a house? It happens all the time, right? I've had a renter that said, I want to rent, and then, a month later purchase $1 million plus home. So Rico, good stuff. Thanks for your contribution. Cristina, let's go to Dominique, and then we'll go to Nias. And then you guys, whoever wants to get involved in this conversation, throw your hand up and don't be shy. This is, we got experts on the line today. I want you guys to take advantage of this.
Yeah, I had a question about the percentage of refis that actually get pre-approved. So when we went to, and I would like to hear from both of Cristina and Art, when we went through the very low interest rate era, and you guys had people that had higher interest rates, and then they went to go and refi to get the lower, did you see a high percentage of people get approved for those, or were there just kind of like a 50% amount of people? I mean, because I know that there are things that have to fall in place for you to get approved, right? And so I would like to know, especially when speaking with clients, I might get a question like that. How easy is it for you to get approved? And I know it's different for every person, but did you see a high percentage of people actually get that low interest rate?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Like I would say 99% chance they were getting pre-approved, because we were saving people in the refi boom. I mean, some over like $1,000 a month sometimes. Like it was incredible. One of the key things that we see if a client's not going to get approved for a refinance is if they've had a mortgage late in the last 12 months. If they really messed up their credit, and even if they messed up their credit, like I have a cash out refinance right now that the clients they had a conventional, and they want to pay off a bunch of debt. They want to do an ADU in the back and all this stuff. So we're actually switched it to an FHA because of their credit score and paying off a bunch of debt. And then I told them, okay, let's do this. We're going to pay off all this debt from this cash out. And then later on, we can put you back into a conventional loan. And when rates go down, get you even a better rate. Your credit's going to be better. Your scores are going to be up because we paid off this debt. So I would say usually the biggest deal killer on a refinance, it's because whenever you refinance, it has to be a net tangible benefit. There has to be a benefit to the buyer, and usually it's bringing down the payment. So the biggest deal breaker would be if they have a mortgage late. Rule of thumb, you can't have a mortgage late within 12 months. I have done some refinances where they did have one late, and it was an old late, and because of their credit history, Fannie Mae was okay with it. I know there was a question on here that said, is there a cost? There is a cost to refinance. So usually you have a processing underwriting fee that lenders charge, usually about $14.95-ish, maybe up or down depending on lender. And then you have your appraisal fee, unless you get an appraisal waiver, and then just escrow fees, the standard escrow title fees. And 9 times out of 10 clients, when they refinance, they throw the cost of the refinance into the loan. So let's say their loan amount is $500,000. We'll boost that up so that it covers all the fees, so that they're not paying out of pocket, and then they won't have a mortgage for 2 months also. So there's a lot of those, the pros where those advantages, a client will be like, oh, no mortgage for 2 months, and we're going to do, I don't have to pay out of pocket. So usually it's always a win-win.
Love it. Nice. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Art. Sorry.
No worries. What's called, and spot on, Cristina, 100%. One way that I personally can tell is looking at their, you guys have access to like pull a property profile, like some type of title company gave you access, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just by that date, if they refinanced from March 2020 on to like March of last year, then their rate is probably considerably lower. And the only like real reason was to not get a loan back then was a lot of people took forbearance. A lot of people saw the opportunity to not make their mortgage payments when COVID hit, and they didn't. Like a lot of people took that bait, but the people that kept making their payments were able to get a lower rate, lower payment, and that type of thing. So one thing that I first do when I'm talking to anybody, pull up their address, pull up the property profile. I could share a screen if you want, and I just pulled up a random address, and just instantly I can tell by looking at their property profile that, you know, they most likely have a 2%, or you can also see if they had some mortgage trouble, if there's some, you know, lis pendens on there, or notice of lis pendens, you know, they're having some real trouble, didn't take the forbearance, and you know, might have paid it off. But yeah, just looking at that property profile gives me so many clues of who I'm talking to. Somebody will send me a letter and I'll pull up their address and look and see what's going on, and just kind of be that creeper a little bit. But
and then here's a follow-up to that, and then I promise I won't ask any more questions. If there were any other refis done during the very low refis that didn't meet value.
Okay, so yes, well, value is, do we even need value? You know, my object is to do loans. You know, on an FHA loan, if they were sitting at 6%, I didn't need an appraisal or an AVM for that matter to do that loan, to bring them down to, like, you know, something in the low 2s or 3s. It's called the FHA Streamline, where we do not need an appraisal whatsoever. So it just depends on what loan type. VA has the same thing. I don't, or actually, hey, Cristina, I'm drawing a blank here. I haven't done an IRRRL in so long. Does a VA IRRRL need a
no appraisal?
See what I'm saying? So once again, there's a lot of loan types where we just don't need an appraisal whatsoever. So
but even like with usually when we're structuring the refinance, we're already kind of estimating what's the value going to be, so that we're structuring it more or less. So Dominique, like we usually will estimate what it's going to be and then make the new proposed loan around that until the appraisal comes in. And then when the appraisal comes in, we can kind of finalize it. But usually at that initial application of the refinance, we're already kind of estimating approximately. And to be honest, like the only way we're really able to estimate is, like, you can kind of look on Realtor.com, Zillow, kind of get a more or less a conservative value until the appraisal comes in. I know, I knew you were going to say that.
Okay.
Government loan types. If they had a government loan type, they probably didn't need an appraisal. That's an easy way to tell. But what
was happening too with the refi boom was you were in an FHA, and the values were going up so fast that people were able to refinance out of that FHA into a conventional, remove MI. It was
true.
It was crazy. It was a lot of cool. It was definitely good for buyers at that time that purchased like before the boom.
Thank you. And the reason why I asked this, just the back thing, is because when we talk to sellers about getting in to a house now when the interest rates are higher, and then telling them they can refi when interest rates come down, I've gotten people ask before, well, how easy is it for me to refi? And so that's a question that sometimes I can't answer because I'm not a lender and I don't know your stats to how easy it is for somebody to do that once rates come back down. That's why I asked. So thank you.
Government loan types, ultra easy. There's programs built in to lower that rate. But furthermore, most of the time when someone qualifies for a higher rate, unless they've had some event like job loss, or they racked up their credit cards, now their score's a lot lower, now they can't qualify for that lower one. If everything is 100% the same and rates come down, I mean, in theory they should, right? But who knows? Life happens, people lose their jobs. So, but government loan types, they have a program built in to bring it down.
Beautiful. Thank you guys for coming to Dominique's TED Talk. We're going to pass it over to Nias, really. Nias, go ahead and ask your question, bro. No, I love the contributions at a high level. I appreciate you guys.
No, that was very informative right there. Just learning about the appraisal, and also kind of just to kind of touch points on a few things, because Rico asked the question as far as like how would he be able to present these type of scenarios to his buyers or whatever that's out there. I'm understanding what Dominique, as far as on the seller aspect of it, as far as how they can be able to refinance. And so it's very informative. One of the things that I did want to be able to share is that it's really based kind of like Cristina said, like based off of the buyer's needs and what they want and at that particular time. I've been doing this accountability training thing with Elias, and so I've really been out there connecting with a few people. Door knocking, I came across somebody in the apartment complex, lived there for 7 years, and he was kind of worried about the interest rate. And I know it's one of the things that, you know, bury the house and buy down the interest rate, but it really kind of, you know, resonated with him because he's ready to get out of there, a family of 5 living in a 2-bedroom apartment. Another situation where just digging into my database, somebody who I met, or I called, met them 2 years ago at an open house, and just reconnecting with people to try to get my conversations, engagements up. And like Art kind of touched on, as far as the different type of government programs that's out there to be able to help people. I have signed up like about 3 or 4 people already for the NACA program. Everybody's probably starting to get familiar with the NACA program. But the one thing about the NACA program is that they are able to buy down the interest rates, and they come in at a considerably lower interest rate. Right now, they're like about 5.2% or whatever. However, the person who I called, you know, from previously 2 years ago, didn't know I was calling her about the NACA program. That was my intention. However, she said, well, I'm already on the NACA program. They're supposed to be coming here in Sacramento on the 22nd. She has an appointment on the 14th, but then she wanted to be able to find out as far as a price point, as far as what they can be able to qualify for, and, you know, where they can be able to live at. And so I think somebody else was talking about as far as where they want to be able to live. She particularly wants to be able to live in Elk Grove. With the NACA program, you only can be able to qualify for $552,000. Elk Grove, you're not getting really anything as far as what she wants for that price point. And so we start talking, and then that's where I brought Art in, and told her, well, you know, there's other government programs out there that can be able to help with, you know, this, you know, with down payment. So we started talking about the My Home program. The My Home program, I believe he can be able to correct me later on, but I think he said it was like at 6.7 or even 7% or whatever. But she's willing to go that route because of where she wants to be able to move at. And so when we talk about interest rates, she has a program to where she can come in at 5% and be able to get there, but she's not going to get the house that she wants. But she's willing to go with the My Home program with a credit, with an interest rate that's higher to be able to get the house that she wants. And so what the difference, this depends on where they want to be able to move at.
Yeah, good stuff. Art, you threw your hand up really quick and we'll get to Chris B.
No, I mean, honestly, Nias played that like a pro. I'm not even gonna lie. That was some, I do come from a sales background, and that was a major hook. You know, these people were already going with NACA, and not to use that as bait. You know, the intentions weren't there to use that as bait. I know Nias got a heart of gold, you know, but he saw that, okay, they're already interested in NACA. The rate is low on NACA, so that's kind of a hook too. But they want to purchase outside of the price point of NACA. So that program is no good for them. So when I was able to talk with them, they already had all their docs together. They're already motivated. That was the absolute most lay down of a conversation I've ever had from a sales perspective. And I have all their docs in the email, about to get it going on My Home. My Home fits them way better, but that was the ultimate hook. I like scarcity. I like when things are running out, kind of, because it gets people off their seats and gets them motivated and gets them moving. You know, do you guys remember Dream Program? Dream Program, people were, man, just running to a loan officer. It was absolutely crazy, and it ran out. So I know NACA has money for days, but maybe not position the conversation like that. Maybe not say, oh yeah, they have money for days. Like, you could do this in 6 months, they'll still have money. Be like, no, man, this is the hottest thing right now. Everybody's talking about it. Like, you need to get pre-approved now because NACA is going to run out. So, I mean, is it a little bit of sales? Like, yes, but people need to be motivated, and something running out motivates people.
And listen, you guys, let's never be afraid of having true organic sales skills. That's what we do. And a salesperson is a great communicator. They're a great communicator, and they're a great connector. I never look at it as a negative thing. I'm an amazing salesperson because I'm a great connector, and I ask amazing questions, and I believe in advocacy. If that's what you believe in regards to sales, then you'll always be a great salesperson. Chris B, and then we're going to wrap up this conversation. Chris B, contributions, thoughts, insights, let's go.
Yeah. How you doing, Art?
Hey, my man.
Here. But anyways, I had a question for Art and Christine. What percentage of loans out there are actually truly assumable? I've been, I've been asking like sellers, go call your lender, see if it's assumable. So I can try to fit in my buyer off market. I'm always trying to think out the box and do different things to make up for this inventory decrease. So first question is, what's the chances or how much loans out there currently can be assumable? And also, is the Dream for All program going to ever get re-upped like they said it was going to?
Oh, man. So yes, two great questions there. One, the assuming part. So VA is assumable, but there is some red tape to it for sure. My dad's a veteran. He totally is all about, the VA loan type and such, but it is hard to do, especially with these home values increasing. Like, okay, if they have a loan for $200,000 on their property because they got it a bunch of years back, and now you're trying to sell it for $5 million, like, where's that shortage going to come from? So could it come from a second loan? Maybe, but now we're talking a HELOC or something where that rate's going to be considerably higher, where it may make sense just to get a new loan, finance the whole thing. So I think in a market where values are right up there with prices, or someone just bought recently with VA, maybe that could be one to assume. But if they bought 5 years ago and have their loan from 5 years ago, and there's a whole bunch of appreciation there to also finance, that situation might be pretty difficult. No one wants to, give up a whole bunch of money in going over to the Dream program. So the California budget is due on the 1st. So July 1st is when, all the politicians down the street at, the Capitol need to come to the same conclusion and, get it signed off or whatever. But I really hope, I don't know. I don't have any plugs in politician land, but I'm hoping that there's some money in the Dream program. I talked to the people that I know, and that they said that there is not. So, but I did send off a couple emails to the people that I know at Cal Haffa and my secondary team and everybody. I'm just like, hey guys, like, let's tap our politicians on the shoulder and tell them to put it in there while we still can. But I don't think there is.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to return either. I've asked Cal Haffa as well, and the response was until the people who did utilize the Dream for All start to sell those properties, and basically Cal Haffa starts making that profit again, the funds are not going to be available. So it's probably going to be a handful of years.
All right, good stuff. Skylar, do you have a quick question? I want to make sure to keep everyone on pace. Quick question from you, and then we're going to wrap.
Not even a question. I want to follow everyone on Instagram. So I want to post my Instagram in the chat. Click on that. Let's connect. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys. So I want to hear from two people. I need some quick takeaways. Let's go to Shanice. Let's go to you really quick, very brief. Key takeaways from our time together today. And Chris, I want to make sure that you got your question addressed. You're good?
Yeah, I'm
Chris
good.
B? Okay, cool. Shanice, let's go to you. Key takeaways from our time together today. Let's go.
Yeah, so Cristina, I think she pointed something out that was really, really awesome, and just focusing on the payment and your comfortability with that. I think that it's really easy right now for people to get scared with the current rates and everything going up. So I think that's a really good point, just to kind of figure out what works with you and not be so scared of like the rates are really high. I think that's awesome. So I really appreciate that. I previously heard a saying of like dating the rate and marrying the house. And so that kind of falls in line with that as well. And so I think that that's just an awesome takeaway for me, just while I'm negotiating these kinds of and having these tough conversations, because the reality is a lot of people are scared to move forward with the current rates and what the market is looking like.
So I want you guys to do this, and this goes for everybody in every market. I want you guys to run your comps over the last 60, 90 days. And look at all the people that are pending right now on homes, and look at all the people that have closed on homes in the last 90 days. Every single market that we are in, people are buying homes and people are selling homes. It's happening no matter what. So our job is not to solely convince the people that this is the best time for them to buy. Our job is to actively find the people that are comfortable and okay with the interest rates at the current rates that they are. That's our job, right? Our job is to constantly find, and that's why prospecting is so important, right? Is that we're constantly finding those new people that want to purchase homes despite what's happening with interest rates. Why? Because they have a true desire and a emotional factor that goes into them wanting to do this for their home, for their family. So that's our job, right? It's not to convince all these people that, oh, you should buy an interest rate and buy the rate, or buy the home and date the rate, whatever that is. But finding those people that are truly, truly okay with what's going on right now. And listen, you guys, I love this conversation about being able to diversify when it comes to having our conversations with sellers and making sure that they know that there's other options out there. And maybe it's not selling, right? Maybe it's not selling their home at all. Maybe it's just helping them leverage the mass amounts of equity that they have in their home. So you guys, I thought this was incredible. Art, thank you. Cristina, as always, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your contributions. And thank you for loving on our community. It's really important. And listen, I don't ask lenders who I think is going to come on here and give us a fucking snore fest to be on group coaching. I don't, because I don't want to be bored, and I don't want you guys to be bored, and I don't want the viewers of this in the future to be bored. And so thank you guys for bringing it in a way that was relatable, understandable, and there's always a human element, and that's why you guys are here. So thank you guys. So listen, take this article that I put in the chat, dissect it and say, you know what are a couple things that I could take from this to go create a video? Frame your conversations with consumers today, whether it's buyers, whether it's sellers, whether it's renters, whether it's investors, whoever you're going to talk to today, frame it and check the depth of your dialogue. So you guys, great session, great contributions, great ask, great insights. So you guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. And as always, keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision, and go out there and have an amazing, amazing day. Peace.